Right. So this is about Medicaid eligibility enrollment life cycle is all about, especially when we are working on healthcare. Because whenever we are working on healthcare environment, generally there are two programs. One is about Medicare program and second is about the Medicaid program. The kind of life cycle process that I'm explaining you, which is in regard to the Medicaid program is concerned, which normally will be classified into four different parts. One is about this is in connect to the implementation of software development life cycle when we are implementing, because the kind of implementation that we do in context to the Medicaid eligibility enrollment life cycle, which is integrating with the implementation of an application. If you are developing any IT application, so these are all the steps that are involved. The first one about initiation and planning, where here we try to initiate the project initiation, milestone reviews, everything will be happens here. So whatever the initiation of the Medicaid plans, what are the rules and regulations that may vary uh, from state to state. This is all something will be varied. So this is all about the project initiation and milestone reviews. That is something that we need to be performed here. That is point. Right. So project initiation and milestone review is the first one, wherein whatever the initiation planning, every project initiation, everything will happen here. Right. So at the same time, milestones may vary, depends on the requirement that we have taken. Milestone either it can be a month or 2 months, right? So what milestones that are to be reviewed, everything will be comes under the initiation planning. This is in connect to the SDLC implementation of here. Second, about the requirement design and development, wherein whatever the requirements that we have taken, either it can be high level requirements, like either it can be functional or non-functional requirements that we have taken. Whatever the kind of implementation as well as the designs, either it can be high level design of the application of Medicaid, what are the different components that are involved and how these components were incorporated or integrated one among all. That is all about the high level requirements. I am referring designing here. Okay, I am referring the system designing. Next, low level design. Low level design majorly details you about what program for this Medicaid program initiation eligibility, as in when you are creating a life cycle for Medicaid program. So what code that needs to be developed, right? So what algorithms are we using? What data structures that we implemented here, what design patterns that we are implementing, everything will be part of it. Yeah, low level design. So based on that, what kind of architecture style that is to be used, either it can be monolithic or it can be microservices or it can be event driven architecture or something that will be designed under the design stage, right? So where we follow the traditional way of application development, when we are following agile way of development, wherein we create releases and all, so release planning will be made initially to start with. So wherein whatever the sprint developments, everything, if applicable, if you follow the traditional model and all, so that high level designs, low level designs, architectures will be designed based on that requirements will be documented. Once the requirements is documented, that has to be developed, right? So we have to develop the application. We need to, whatever the Medicaid eligibility lifecycle program that we are developing. So that development as well as the code, whatever the required code that is to be written, etc., everything will becomes under the requirement in design development. Next one about the integration part. Integration where we have to integrate for Medicaid eligibility program. What are the integration that we do? So integration with multiple systems like Medicaid program is being integrated with any kind of CMS systems. And for this, what kind of integration that we have to be performed here? Integration, either we may be using some RESTful API or something. So this is all part of integration. Either it can be web services we may use, right? So integrations will be taken place. So once integration testing, right? So we have to do the code testing, etc. over here. So that whatever the operational milestones that we have initiated over here in the initial planning, so that has to be reviewed in this phase. So once that integration is done, right? So because we need to integrate with multiple systems. For example, if you take the Medicaid enrollment program, as I'm mentioning here, right? So Medicaid program, which is integrated, which is implemented using MMIS, you know that, which is called Medicare Management Information Systems. So we integrate this Medicaid Management Information Systems with for example, with any CMS systems we are using, okay, or else any kind of facets application that we are using for claims, etc. Claims or member enrollment or any provider management, we are using some facets or something like. So these integrations must be taken place because we use Medicaid management information systems, which is as separate. The kind of architecture as well as the kind of flow that we are managing, everything as separate, which can be integrated. That's where generally we have to perform the integration with multiple systems, either with CMS systems or any kind of facet systems, or we may integrate with some any kind of CRM systems to manage customer relationships or customer resolutions, etc. All these things will be part of integration and testing and implementation based on the requirements that is developed, whatever the code that is developed in reference to the Medicaid enrollment program I'm referring to. Next one about the operational maintenance. Operational maintenance, where how this can be managed, right? So what are the pre and post operational reviews that we do? Followed by this, there must be a continuous monitoring. Generally, we do. This is an ongoing monitoring process which has to be continued in regular intervals. You don't find any kind of stoppage or something of that. This is an ongoing monitoring process which has to be continued further. So this is a complete life cycle for any Medicaid enrollment life cycle when we are integrating with implementation of software development life cycle as an application when we develop. This is how the initial process is being used for. One is about initiation and planning phase, where the next well about requirements, either it can be functional or non-functional requirements, all these. Next, the design part, I'm referring to system designing, either it can be high level or low level designs and all. Next, development, writing the code, etc. Next, tested, followed by the integration will be taken place with multiple systems, if any. Next, operational maintenance, followed by ongoing maintenance. So when we perform Medicaid enrollment life cycle, when we connect with software development life cycle, this is the process generally follow. The same process even for Medicare as well. Because irrespective of the kind of healthcare programs that we are managing, the process which I was initiated here or I'm explaining here remains the same for either it can be for Medicaid programs or it can be Medicare programs. But what are the benefits followed by the kind of business rules or the kind of mandates may vary from state to state. So that differences you have to see when we see about MMIS. But for Medicare program is concerned, whatever the benefits that we have, either it can be plan A, B, or C, or D. This is common for all the people. This is what the overall understanding is.